Women in modern blockbuster fiction often get labeled as strong because they can punch hard, shout loudly, or deliver a rehearsed one-liner. But the thing is, strong isn't the same thing as compelling. What makes a fictional woman powerful isn't the size of her muscle, it's the depth of her scars. And no story has ever created female characters with richer scars than the series we're discussing today. Game of Thrones. Arya Stark, Cersei Lannister, Sansa Stark, Daenerys Targaryen. Each of them is iconic, not because they were invincible, but because they were breakable and broke and still kept going. This is the video essay on how these four women became the epitome of strength in modern fiction. Now, the first character I'll be covering is Arya Stark. Arya's strength begins before the murders, before the faceless techniques. It begins with a personality that doesn't fit into the world she's born into. She's a young girl who hates sewing, hates noble expectations, hates being told to sit still. She wants to run, climb, sword fight. She wants the freedom she sees boys getting automatically. Her conflict starts as a gender conflict. The world insists she must become a lady, but her identity screams that she's something different. Then the event that destroys her childhood happens. Her father is beheaded right in front of her. Think of that. A girl who wanted adventure suddenly gets the purest form of trauma. She doesn't get to bury him. She doesn't get closure. She doesn't get justice. She gets blood, shock, and silence. And just a few episodes later, she learns her mother and her brother have been butchered too. In her mind, her entire family is dead. She becomes an orphan of violence, untethered, directionless. This is where most young characters in other franchises get rescued, adopted, empowered, and given a mentor. Arya gets none of that. She gets survival mode. She's captured, she's starved, she's forced to pretend she's a boy. She's nearly killed multiple times. She becomes the cupbearer, practically the slave of the very man responsible for her brother's death. Keep in mind, not any death, a cruel death, a grotesque death. They beheaded him and sewed his direwolf's head onto his body. Imagine the psychological warfare of handing wine to someone you wish you could skin alive. The show never glamorizes this. It shows a girl swallowing her grief, burying her emotions, and transforming pain into focus. When she escapes, it's not heroic, it's desperate. The Hound becomes the closest thing she has to a twisted mentor. He teaches her life is cruel. Kill first, hesitate, and you die. Arya doesn't just learn violence, she learns world truth. She sees men buried alive. She sees senseless brutality. She sees how low humanity can sink. And yes, a part of her sinks with it. Then we get the metaphorical death. The faceless men strip away the humanity, her name, her identity, her sight, her purpose. They blind her, they beat her, they force her into starvation, silence, servitude. This is one of the darkest training arcs ever written, because it's about killing the ego, not sharpening the sword. Many modern stories confuse training arc with choreography, but Arya's journey is psychological. Not grow stronger, but suffer deeper. She learns detachment, patience, intuition, the art of reading bodies. Her final test, choosing her name, is the rebirth. She becomes not no one, but the perfect version of Arya Stark. Not a victim, not a lady, a force. Arya is not admired because she's skilled. She's admired because the audience lived her trauma with her. We saw her lose innocence, lose identity, lose compassion, and claw it back through sheer will. She earned every scar, every technique, every victory. This is character writing, not power fantasy. The next character I'd like to talk about is Cersei Lannister. Cersei is hated, despised, feared, but behind that exterior is a lifetime of emotional starvation. The world she's born into has one rule: you are powerful only if you are a man. Her father ignores her, her ambitions are mocked, her intelligence is dismissed. She watches her twin brother get all the privileges she's always wanted simply because of gender. She is raised to believe her only value is her beauty and her womb, nothing else. That alone is psychological torture. Cersei is forced into a marriage that crushes her spirit from day one. Her husband cheats on her constantly, he mocks her, he disrespects her, he keeps her around for air production and appearance. She's a political hostage in her own marriage. This creates resentment that simmers for decades. Her children are her only joy, the only beings she genuinely loves. When each of them dies, one by one, the last pieces of Cersei's humanity die with them. Her final child's death is the moment she becomes something new, not a villain, a survivor with nothing left to lose. The Faith strips her naked, cuts her hair, forces her to walk through the city while people scream, spit, throw filth. This is not punishment, this is humiliation on a religious scale. But here's where Cersei becomes extraordinary. She doesn't break, she becomes ice. She waits, plans, executes, and her revenge is apocalyptic. She vaporizes her enemies with absolute precision, then claims the throne herself. No destiny, no prophecy, no dragons, just pure terrifying will. Why is Cersei's character understandable? She's not likable, she's not heroic. It's cause her strength emerges from neglect, rage, grief, and the refusal to remain powerless. That's why she's compelling. The next character I'll be talking about is Sansa Stark. Sansa starts as a girl most viewers underestimate. She's kind, hopeful, romantic, the perfect target for a cruel world. She is drawn to a royal life. She dreams of queenship. She thinks honor and manners rule the world. The fall is devastating, precisely because she starts with innocence. Joffrey abuses her not with blows, but with fear. He threatens her life, forces her to look at her father's severed head, mocks her, strip mines her hope. This is psychological torture of a child, and she cannot fight back. She has no allies, no power, no protection. Cersei does something interesting. She doesn't comfort Sansa, she teaches her truths. The more people you love, the weaker you are. Harsh, cold, but ironically it prepares Sansa for everything else she endures. She learns politics through trauma. Then there's Littlefinger. He doesn't abuse Sansa physically, he abuses her psychologically. He teaches her paranoia, he teaches her deceit. He teaches her to question motives, especially her own. And Sansa doesn't just endure him, she studies him. The student becomes greater than the master, which leads to his eventual demise. And after all these instances of abuse, it still isn't the worst. The worst form of abuse she's received was behind Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay is the most sadistic character in the series. He humiliates her, he violates her, breaks her sense of safety, and yet this becomes Sansa's turning point. When she escapes, she doesn't come back the same. She comes back steeled, her voice changes, her posture changes, her eyes change. She becomes commanding, calculating, cold when needed, but compassionate when appropriate. She becomes what her family needs, a queen, not by destiny, not by prophecy, by survival. Sansa's character works because her strength isn't in weapons or dragons, it's in endurance. She represents a very real kind of resilience, the quiet, steady rise from long-term abuse into authority. She's the empowerment arc done right. The next character I'll be talking about is Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys begins at rock bottom before chapter 1 even starts. Her entire family is dead, her house collapsed, her identity reduced to the exiled daughter of a madman. Her brother treats her like property, he insults her, controls her, threatens her life. She has no agency, no safety, no dignity. She doesn't marry Khal Drogo. She's sold to him like livestock. This is traumatic on every level, but Daenerys doesn't break, she adapts. Slowly, she learns the language, the culture, how to assert herself, how to negotiate power. She transforms a position of powerlessness into a position of influence. When Drogo dies, she is left with nothing again. No husband, no safety, no army, no family, no future. Most characters would die here. Instead, she walks into the fire. She emerges reborn with the dragons. This is one of the greatest metaphors in fiction. She was burned by life so many times that fire itself becomes her ally. She frees slaves. She survives assassination attempts. She leads armies made of people who once spat on her. But what's important is the cost. Every triumph brings betrayal, political rebellion, personal loss, heartbreak. Her powers don't protect her from grief, they attract it. Her strength is built not from dragons, but from losing everything repeatedly and choosing to rise again. The question is, why does Daenerys' character work? Yes, because she's powerful, but because she's also cracked, wounded, desperate, lonely, traumatized, hopeful, idealistic, human. Her strength is emotional first, magical second. Strength is not an aesthetic, not a punch, not a sarcastic joke. Strength is surviving when you shouldn't, healing when you have no reason to, choosing purpose over despair, transforming pain into identity. Arya is strength through discipline. Cersei is strength through defiance. Sansa is strength through endurance. Daenerys is strength through rebirth. And lately, it seems like modern stories have often forgotten this. Because when you contrast it to modern characters like Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, they suffer from the same flaw. They are written as strong without pain, as powerful without struggle, as perfect without consequence. Captain Marvel starts the movie invincible. She gets stronger with memory loss, not weaker. She doesn't grow, she unlocks what she already had. She-Hulk insists she has it worse than the Hulk. A man hunted, tortured, isolated, and so terrified of himself for decades he eventually shot himself in the head, but the big green man spits it out. See, the problem isn't the actresses, it's the absence of growth. Compare that to Arya going blind and crawling through hell, Cersei losing her children and walking naked through a city, Sansa surviving years of abuse and still rising, Daenerys enduring slavery, exile and fire. They struggle, they fail, they learn, they bleed, they become powerful because of pain, not in spite of it. That's why we admire them. That's why we believe in them. That's why they became cultural icons. Not because they were written strong, but because they were written human. The true strength of a character is measured by the darkness they've walked through, not the light they stand in. Arya, Cersei, Sansa, Daenerys, each of them was shattered, not just wounded, shattered, and each of them rebuilt themselves differently. That's why they endure. That's why they resonate. That's why they are the blueprint for female characters who feel real.